So I think last year there was a lot of evidence that the vaccination was less effective than the experts had predicted. I think we have to remember that it's a difficult job that the Public Health England epidemiologists have. They have to predict next year's flu this year so that you've got time to develop the vaccine and produce it at scale. So I think we'd all appreciate that you're never going to get it 100%. And actually, it's not to say that those flu strains weren't out there, they just weren't the prominent flu strains. So everyone will have got some benefit from that vaccination, as they do every year for years to come, because the body is creating a lasting memory of that flu.
And I think it's important for us to just remind the staff about it's not just about them, and we want them to be well and protected from flu, but it's also about the patients.
You know, I hold my hands up as a junior doctor. I stopped having the flu vaccination because I had a mild reaction to the flu vaccination one year. As I've become older and more experienced, I've realised that it's probably not about me as the healthcare professional. It's more about my patients and the effect I could have on my patients. I think some facts that I have not necessarily been fully aware of is that 77% of people who have the flu don't have any symptoms. So I, as a well healthcare professional, could be sitting in front of my patient feeling fine, but giving them the flu. And if they're a vulnerable patient, if they've got, chronic comorbidities, if they're elderly, then when I walk away feeling fine, I could have just made them really unwell with the flu. So actually I've started to think about the flu vaccination from my patient's perspective rather than from my perspective, because I'm relatively healthy, I'm relatively young, I can probably cope with a bout of flu. So I'm not really having the injection for my benefit, I'm having the injection for my patient's benefit. And I think there's a big spectrum of side effects, and it's fair to say that some people may get none and some people do get affected from it. I think importantly, as I'm sure we all know, we don't get the flu from the flu jab, but we might get flu-like symptoms. But most commonly it's that kind of irritation locally where the injection's gone in, and maybe the body feeling achy and lethargic as the immune system does what it should do in response to it.
I think it's important, Tom, because I've had the flu jab every year, and I think probably I haven't thought about it necessarily in those terms of just wanted to protect myself and my family. Having younger kids at the time I was having that, I wanted to keep my family safe, which is as important to our staff as keeping the patients safe. And I think it's probably fair, Tom, that we know that this may not necessarily change people's mind about having the flu jab, but what I think we both want is that staff may go away and just do a bit more research and reading into it after what they've heard here today.
Yeah, I think what I've said to people is I'm not there to change their mind. I think we're all healthcare professionals ourselves. We all have a personal responsibility to make sure we're doing the right thing for our patients. And I absolutely recognise that our staff will want to go away, look at the facts themselves, weigh those up. And I suppose I would say, please go and weigh those facts up. Look at yourself as an individual and look at your patients and weigh the pros and cons up. And hopefully, like I have, people will draw the right conclusion for both themselves and their patients.